How's it, everybody? Welcome to Exilic Music's Unpack the Track, where we go behind the scenes and look at the stems that make up a particular production of ours. And first up, in our first installment, Neville D, Nobody Like Jesus, the JK remix. So first and foremost, Neville's vision for this joint was to give it a street feel, modern, urban hip-hop kind of vibe. So the original tempo of the song was 75 BPM, and we kept it at that, which set the track up for kind of an up-tempo trap vibe. So we started off with this loop. Let me show you just the synth loop. This is a Logic loop. I just pulled it straight out of Logic's Apple loops. One of their almost 22,000 loops. I have absolutely no problem using their loops, chopping it up, changing modulating the key, and just making it work with my composition. But I have no problem. I mean, there's high quality stuff. Their samples are nice. Their loops are nice. It's already mixed and mastered. Some might feel it's cheating, but I think it's just like another instrument, and so I make it my own. So once we had that going, I chopped up another loop, and you can hear this is just playing at that half time. So this is not even 75. That's half of 75 now. What's that? 30. 30s. I can't count. Okay, but you can see I've chopped up the kick, and then selected another snare there. And then just made it play what I wanted to. Once we had the synth and the kick and snare going, I added these hats. So let's listen to the hats. And I programmed this, I think, in the EXS, and then bounced it down to audio. It's a typical 808 hi-hat. That was essentially the intro, but then I added some samples. Now these samples come from the original version of Nobody Like Jesus.
Listen.
So that little listen sample, that's exactly how the original version started. So it feels like the start of the original version, except that I've got this EQ on it, just rolling off quite a bit of the unwanted low end. And then I ran it through one of Logic's stock standard plugins as well. It's called the Delay Designer.
Listen.
But the nice thing with this Delay Designer is you can write in the delays, you can write in the cutoff, you can write in even transpositions, so that every note of the delay, the delayed notes play at a different pitch. So really nice.
Listen.
And ideal for kind of, I guess, remix territory.
Listen.
Then I used another sample from the original version of Nobody Like Jesus. That's Neville. And I tuned him down slightly, and then ran him through this amp and put some delay on it, tape delay. Okay, you can see I used that sample a couple of times. Yeah, feels good. I think this was pitched down slightly. Let's see. Yeah, it was transposed minus 2 steps, so minus 2 semitones, a full tone down. And yeah, just added some more of that remix vibe. So that was just the intro, and then halfway through the intro, I added these. This is the typical kind of DJ Mustard vibe now. Oops. Let's solo that. And that obviously just gave it some energy. That's another sample coming out of.
This is another new song.
Coming out of the original version. That's the intro. Then I brought my good friend and co-producer with us here at Exilic Music, Mr. Shadley Easthorpe. Brought him onto the scene. And so what we did was we we used one of Logic's 808 snare sounds. You can hear it's very analogy. It's got the, you know. But what we did with this, we didn't program it. We Shadley actually played it live, and so we've got a Roland electric drum kit here, hooked up in MIDI to Logic, and so Shadley's essentially controlling the 808, but playing it in live on that snare. So just gave it a human feel. And then of course you can hear he's playing over this. These stabs come from Logic as well. And they're not being played. They are, it's basically a brass stab sample that I've now chopped up, and then using this, if I click on it, you'll probably see the circle. Using this transposition feature, I just simply went into the audio clip and changed the pitch of it, and so made them play the lines that I want. And because they're Apple loops, when you chop them, the algorithms are so great. I mean, you don't lose any quality. It just sounds hot. So Shadley's playing over that. And then we've got the DJ Mustard Haze. DJ Mustard, they're not these. I don't know where he came up with them. And then a little riser in there. There we go. Okay, so let's look at a couple more instruments here. This Crash. Native Instruments, Machine, expansion packs. I think I pulled them off my iPhone. I've got the iMaschine version. They come with all these nice little hits and samples. They've got their own voice samples as well. Here's one. Nice one there. And then I might have put some delay on there. Yeah. It's running through a tape delay. So I'm not using a lot of instrumentation in this joint, but just little bits of ear candy here and there. After all, it is a remix. And that just adds to the bigness of it. I mean, those horns that I played you a moment ago, they're huge, but they sparse, you know. Here's an instrument that I used. It's another loop that I chopped up, and then I ran that loop through a guitar amp. This is what the loop sounded like dry. Completely dry. So you can see on my thumbnail of my EQ curve there, I boosted around 1000 hertz, 1K, with a very wide Q, and then ran it through that guitar amp, just brighten everything up, and use the reverb on the guitar amp to give it some depth, and it feels good. Yeah, let me show you this little. That comes from the original version as well. A little crowd no. Remember, Neville had the choir on the original version, so they were doing lots of shouts. So let me show you the main drums and then the 808. So drums first. This is just a straight ahead, straight ahead hip hop pattern. Nothing fancy, and it's 808 drums, but then we've got that big clap on every second snare, and that's the main groove of the song. But you'll notice that while we're using the 808, we're not using the same 808 kit. We're using this one here. In the introduction, we've got these, and that's not even like a stock standard 808 sound. Then for the snares, we've got these. And those snares are totally different from these. Also 808s, but just, just adds to the dynamic. We're not doing a whole lot, but we're doing different things. Let me show you what we did with the 808 sub, because that's obviously the big driver in trap nowadays, and it drives the song along. So I think I got this from my other co-producer, the homie Mons. And Mons has got all these cool sample packs that he downloads from the net. And one day I was like, dude, why you sound so much better than mine? You can't be using Logic stock standard sounds. And so he gave me this 808. And essentially what we're doing with, I guess, with modern day hip hop is we are using the 808 as a sub bass and not as a kick drum. Traditionally, the 808 was a kick drum. Nowadays, we'll use them as both. So I've got the 808 playing as a kick, but I've also got it here playing as a bass. Now let me show you a little cool trick. Essentially nowadays people are listening to all this fat hip hop music on tiny speakers, and it's so irritating. But the challenge is, how do you make, as a producer or an engineer, how do you make that sub bass translate on these tiny speakers? Because people are so used to listening to music on tiny speakers now, they think that's how it must sound, and a tiny speaker can't translate a sub bass. So here's a cool trick. It helps the 808 not just to be felt, but also to be heard. So what we do is we make a copy of that 808 and then basically do some parallel processing techniques. So this is a heavily distorted version of that same 808, but it's mixed in super soft. And then I've got that bust. Oh, actually there's nothing even on there. So that's the one, and then this one. So without, with. Very subtle but nasally, add some distortion, some grit. And this is in the upper frequencies. This is like maybe around about 1000K, 800 hertz to 1000. Sorry, 1000 hertz, 1K. And this just helps the 808 to cut through. So. Go. That's basically the groove of the song. And beyond that, you know, we just used various elements, brought them in for hooks, brought them in for verses, brought them in for breakdowns. But that's essentially the basis, the meat and potatoes foundation of the song. Let me show you this little synth that I used here. It's another little loop, just chopped it up and detuned it, or rather modulated it, transposed it to fit the song, and it just helps to drive the song along. Nice little riser there. That's the basis of the song. I'm going to come back in another video and I'll show you what we did with the vocals. So there you go, first installment of Exilic Music, Unpack the Track, with Neville D's Nobody Like Jesus, the JK remix. Yeah.